Every day, people walk past each other in the street. He's single, she's single, both think the other one is attractive, and then they walk straight past each other and neither does anything about it. I had a woman recently at my event in Chicago. She told me that she keeps meeting guys online and that they don't turn into dates, and she ends up incessantly in a texting conversation with them. And I said, well, why don't you get out there in the real world? Why don't you meet people there? And she seized up a little, because for most people, the idea of actually meeting people in real life is scary. But it doesn't have to be so scary if we don't take ourselves as seriously, if we stop censoring ourselves, and if we actually get a little more free and easy with the interactions we have. So to get out of this paralysis of playing it safe and not flirting with people, I'm going to give you 3 simple things you can do to flirt more with the guys you like. And by the end of this video, I'm going to give you a gift that's going to make you unstoppable in flirting. Let's begin. Number 1, look more. I know what women do. They go out, they look at a guy once, then they look back at their friends and they say, okay, he knows. Ladies, I'll let you in on a little secret. We don't know. We have no idea. We're terrified that we're going to come over and misread that look and that you are going to annihilate us in front of your friends. And we're going to have to do the walk of shame back to where we came from. We need more than one look. So as a general rule, I want you to look 4 times more than you think you need to. Strategy number 2, mouth the word. Whether you're walking past someone or you're standing next to them in a line and you catch their eye for the first time, you doing more than making eye contact and actually mouthing the word hi. It doesn't even have to be audible. In fact, it might even be more cute if it's not audible. But that moment shows that you're sweet and warm and kind and inviting, and like the first example, just gives a guy that extra license to start talking to you. Number 3, when you have a date with someone, express that you're looking forward to seeing them. Be honest about that. So on the day of the date, if it's a first date, text him and say, I'm looking forward to meeting you tonight. Or if it's your second or third date and you have a bit more of a bond or a connection by now, text him and say, not gonna lie, I'm excited to see you tonight. Those moments of not only flirtation, but warmth and sweetness are something that elevate your character. Because he now realizes he's going on a date with an authentic person, not someone who's trying to play hard to get, not someone who's a game player. And by the way, playing games just invites other game players. But he sees now that he's with someone who's willing to just express themselves honestly. I actually think that's what all 3 of these little secrets do. The multiple eye contact, mouthing hi to somebody, expressing the excitement that you have about seeing someone, they're all actually a form of greater authenticity. This to me is what kids are like. Kids don't get in their head about things all the time. You see kids when their first day of school, they look at each other and they're like, you want to be friends? And the other person's like, yeah. I remember my best friend in life, literally when we were 8 years old, we looked at each other and this guy came over and he said, are you 2 friends? And we looked at each other, we'd never spoken, and we went, yeah. And that was how our friendship started. Kids are playful. They don't censor themselves all the time. So let's make a deal today. I want you to get out there and return to that childlike state of playfulness, not censoring yourself, and start to actually flirt more without judging yourself for the things that you say and do. And to help you with that, I told you at the beginning of this video, I had a free gift for you today. Well, here it is. I am gifting you a chapter of my most popular program, How to Talk to Men, which is specifically centered around the subject of flirting. All you need to do to claim it is go to getthefreechapter.com and you can download it right now. I cannot wait to see what you think. This really is going to change the game, because guess what? If you want more options by tomorrow, you've got to start using this stuff today. And this chapter has what you need to start using it. Go to getthefreechapter.com and I will see you there. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 specific texts that you can send to a guy that are bold and confident and will spike attraction at the same time as leading to a date. Number 1, you send him a message that says, "I'm craving our conversation." Here's what this message does. You've snuck into his day and jolted him out of whatever he's doing right now to bring him into the moment with you. It wasn't small talk. Hey, how you doing? What you up to? How's your day going? You just jumped straight into something meaningful. And you've paid a unique compliment to the dynamic you have with him. It's not about your bed connection. It's about your head connection. It's about the fact that you have a deeper connection with him. You miss your conversation. The best part is, even though you've done all of that with this message, you still haven't been the one to ask him on a date. It's just going to make him want to ask you on a date. Number 2, why haven't you asked me to see the new Blade Runner yet? This message is adorably demanding in a playful way. It's vulnerable on one hand. You are saying, I want to do this with you. It's also slightly unreasonable because he didn't even necessarily know that you wanted to see that film. In fact, I would say this message works better if he didn't even know you wanted to do that thing. And you're being upfront about what you want. You're putting the ball in his court and saying, "Hey, mister, invite me on this date, please." Message number 3 is Taco Tuesday. Let's go get tacos and a margarita tonight. This is the all-out, get off the sofa, get in the game, let's go have some fun message. You send this message and he's thinking, that's a super confident, bold message. She didn't know whether I was busy tonight or not, which means she took a risk, a 50-50 risk that I would even be available tonight. That's kind of hot. What kind of person sends that message? A high-value person, someone who believes in their own worth, someone who thinks that they're worth dropping everything for to come and do something last minute. The certainty you came in with is the thing that makes him that much more likely to say, screw it, I'm in. And by the way, these 3 messages show a really fun, cool side of you. So save them for the guy who's actually trying with you. Don't use them on the guy who's completely gone cold and isn't investing. If you enjoyed this and you want 9 more text messages you can use for anyone you're attracted to, go to 9text.com to download my free guide, and I will see you next week. Hi everyone, you're listening to Love Life with Matthew Hussey. Today we are talking about the 3 things that you have to always remember when you're having an argument. This actually, I have to say, is really close to my heart as a subject because, well, firstly, from personal experience, I know that there are so many times in my life where I have had an argument with someone and just wished afterwards I knew how to deal with that better, either because I know that somewhere in the argument I got annihilated, or somewhere in the argument I end up really hurting someone else. And I think the really sad and tragic part about arguments is it's the people that we actually care about the most that we end up hurting the most and doing damage to. And sometimes that damage lasts a very long time and is extremely difficult to reverse. It's amazing how tough it can be to reverse something that you said in a heated moment that took 2 seconds to say, and now you live with the consequences of that in your relationship, especially after everything's all good again and the argument has passed. So I have a couple of tips here that I want to give you. And by the way, if you have a pen and paper anywhere in this show, write stuff down. As cliched and cheesy as it sounds, a dull pencil is better than a sharp mind. If you can write it down, you're going to remember this stuff. So the first one is diffuse the situation quickly. Now, there's a kind of idea in arguments that sometimes you need to take time. Sometimes you need to take time away. You need to walk away and you need to go into a different room, or you need to leave for a day or 2 and then come back and revisit the argument. Now, I think in some cases that allows people to not vent in an extremely hypersensitive way, and for that reason can be the lesser of 2 evils. I do, however, think that if it's at all possible for you to do so, diffuse it now. That should always be your motto. How do I diffuse this now instead of walking away from the situation? Because, of course, remember, when you walk away, people's imaginations run wild.
That's when people start wondering, what's he thinking? What's she thinking? What are they off doing right now? Is it getting worse? They start thinking of all the other ways they're angry at you. Diffusing it quickly, diffusing it now allows you to move past the situation. And let me give you an example of this. I think a very common thing that happens in couples is they're walking down the street and someone gets kind of offended because they catch their partner looking at someone else for too long. You know, they see their partner's wandering eye and they feel offended by that. Now, of course, what happens in this situation? Well, firstly, they don't speak up. So now they go the whole day being irritable because they remember that moment and they say, in their mind, they're going, I can't believe they did that in front of me. That was so offensive. I can't believe they're looking at other people. You feel jealous, you feel hurt, but you don't say anything. That person senses that you're cold and says, why are you being cold? And of course, you in your prideful state say, I'm not being cold. There's nothing wrong. I'm not being cold. And they sense that you're cold anyway, so now they feel shut out from you. So what do? They get cold. They begin to shut down. So now you're both not enjoying your day because you're both shut down over this tiny little issue and you're not talking about it. You get to the end of the day and finally you're so angry about the situation, especially because you haven't voiced it and you've thought of all these other arguments in your head that make it valid, and now you voice the argument and you say, listen, let me tell you what really annoyed me today. And you start talking about that thing. Now, here's where you make the second mistake. The second mistake is the urge to pile on. So instead of focusing on the one issue that's actually at hand, i.e. that person glanced at someone else for a second more than you were comfortable with, you now pile it on. So you say, and I remember, and it's just like that time 4 weeks ago where you stood there talking to that person for 20 minutes, even though I was there with you. And I can't believe you did that. And you have all these friends that you say are just friends, but they're really hitting on you. And so you pile everything on because you want to legitimize your argument. But true credibility doesn't come from piling on all the evidence possible. True credibility comes from sticking with the original thing that bothered you and exploring that, rather than piling on everything you can. So that's the second mistake people make. First one is taking too long. So instead, diffuse it now. Second one is piling on all the evidence you can. Instead, deal with the issue. The third one is perhaps the most nasty of them all. And this is when, in your angered, prideful state, where you feel hurt and you feel like you're stubborn, you don't want to give in, and you also feel pain. So now your instinct is to inflict pain. Now you go into cut mode. Right? So now you don't want to just argue that you're right. You want to find a way to cut the other person. And this gets really nasty. So here, in the argument I've given, in the example, here's what someone might do. And by the way, what, you think that I couldn't do the exact same thing? If I wanted to, you think I couldn't look at someone else? You think people aren't looking at me all the time? Just the other day, someone hit on me, and you might tell a story that's kind of nasty to tell because you want to feel important again. But what you're really doing is trying to cut someone else, right? If I can cut them and show that, by the way, what's the reason we want to cut someone? We want to cut someone because we want to see if it affects them. Because if it affects them, we'll feel important again. I know I can hurt them now. Thank God I feel worthy, right? Which is a twisted way of thinking about it, but it's true and it happens a lot. The problem is when you cut someone, at that point, it becomes something that's hard to reverse. Resist the urge to hurt the other person. Deal with the issue at hand. So those are the three things. Diffuse quickly. Resist the urge to pile on. And third, resist the urge to be cutting with your words and hurt the other person. Now, I'll finish on this. It's not noble once you've hurt someone and made them cry and really done them damage. It's not noble at that point to go, oh my God, I feel bad now, and then go and apologize and say, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do all that to you. Because at that point, the damage is done. Let me tell you what's really brave and noble. At the point where you're hurting, at the point where you're feeling stubborn, at the point where your pride is damaged, to try and go and diffuse it and deal with it right then. It's the hardest moment to do it, but if you can do it, you're the bravest person in the relationship. So that's it for today. Take care, my friends. Share this, please. It's so important to relationships. Relationships are killed every day or irreversibly damaged every day, which could otherwise be beautiful connections between people. So share this with the people that you care about so that they can do the same thing, Twitter or Facebook, and let us know what you think. #LoveLife. I'll see you soon, guys. Cool.
Every once in a while, Jameson and I do a video where the reaction from the community absolutely blows us away. Last week was one of those times, and don't think that you're alone in feeling this because anyone can feel this. We did a video on loneliness, and I sat there reading the comments as they were coming in, and they were coming in thick and fast, and they were stunning. I'm going to read you a couple. This is the top comment, the one that got the most likes on YouTube, from Gen Z 2017. Wow, Matthew, I was feeling so alone right now in a coffee shop on Saturday night where everybody is partying and everybody is with someone. At this specific moment, your video notification just popped up through my phone writing, feeling alone? Honestly, this end part makes me have tears in my eyes. I will be watching this again and again when I feel alone. Thank you so much, Matthew. I think that comment encapsulates so much of the emotion behind this video. The idea that we are there doing something right now where life is going on around us and we don't feel necessarily part of it. We don't always feel like we belong to it and we don't always feel connected to it. Zoe on Facebook says, always to the point. If you could just now record yourself reading the Harry Potter books, my evenings would be way better. Loneliness, I feel, is inevitable as a single mum. Spending all my time in, when I do go out, I go with the awful fear that I have nothing to bring to it. Really is another spot on video. Well, first things first. Tom Riddle was also a lonely child. You may not understand that, Harry, but I do, and I think Ginny does too.
You realize that cloak has nothing to do with Harry Potter.
I think I would know, Jameson.
You look like a Liberace Ned Stark.
For the watch. After reading over 1,000 comments on this video, we decided to continue the conversation on loneliness for another week. This week, I asked you, our community, to send in videos of the moments where you feel the most lonely. They were beautiful, vulnerable videos, and as I was watching them, I had 3 powerful insights that I want to share with you today.
The moment I feel most lonely is when I see people in the kind of love that I wish I was in.
When the kids leave with their dad and the house is really quiet and I kind of don't really know what to do.
I feel lonely on Sundays when I know that most of my friends are spending the day with their families.
I feel most lonely when I want to talk to my significant other about something serious and he's not in the mood to do that.
In my own home sometimes, which people will find strange as I have 5 children and a wonderful husband. When you have such a big family, all of a sudden your life becomes about them and their needs and what they want, and you become a little bit invisible.
Now here's what's fascinating about these videos you just saw. You have different people giving completely different circumstances who all feel lonely. You have Agnetha, who on a Sunday feels lonely because her friends are all off in relationships, spending time with their families. You have Vicky, who feels like she's faded into the background with her family, where she's looking after everyone else's needs, but she's no longer the star. You have Catherine, who feels alone because sometimes when she has a serious issue, she doesn't feel like her significant other hears her. But the insight I take from this is that the common thread in all of these stories is a sense of worthlessness. Not feeling important can have a tremendous impact on how lonely we feel. So if we want to change how lonely we feel, one place we can start is changing our sense of worth. For Vicky, it might be the case that if she starts to redefine how important her role in her family is and see that through a different lens, she can immediately feel more important. Maybe they can rely on her and lean on her. Maybe she makes them feel special, and maybe that's what makes her special. If she reconnects with what makes her important in her family, she can immediately feel more worthy and therefore less lonely. Or it may be that Vicky needs to find a worthiness in something else outside of her family so that she kind of diversifies where she gets her sense of self-worth from. It can't just come from what her family makes her feel. It has to come from other areas of life too.
I feel the most lonely in crowds at parties.
I seem to have a lot of friends, but I don't seem to connect with them on a regular basis.
I have this feeling of being all alone, even though I have lots of friends and I have a really big social life.
Simply being around people doesn't necessarily cure our loneliness. We always think that if we just have more of a sense of community, that all of a sudden we won't feel alone anymore. Now, I do believe community is really important. I think that community is an answer to a huge piece of the loneliness puzzle. If we can get ourselves around people that matter to us, people we care about, people we connect with, that will change the way we feel. The problem is simply having community, simply having friends or family or people you spend time with doesn't automatically mean you have connection with those people. It's like Carol Ann said, she can walk into a party and feel really alone because in that moment, she doesn't feel a sense of connection at that party. I believe there's a fine line between having a great time at a party and having a terrible time. And usually the difference is whether you have a meaningful conversation or a meaningful connection with somebody. So the question is, how do you get more connected to people? The answer, I believe, is vulnerability.
I'm lonely in that moment where I need a big hug.
If we can make ourselves more vulnerable, people will feel more connected to us, because if we open up, we give them permission to do the same. Think about it. What resonated about last week's video? It was the vulnerability of it, which allowed people in the comments to open up and in turn be vulnerable back, which then had me reading the comments and going, oh my God, I feel so connected to these people right now. I have to make another video on this. I want to talk with them more and dialogue about this. It's vulnerability that brings us together. That's the thing that connects us in life. The problem is we don't get vulnerable enough in our day-to-day lives. Why? Because we're afraid.
I feel very lonely when I'm sitting in the train and everybody's looking at their mobiles and nobody's talking.
We're afraid that if we bare our souls to somebody else, our weaknesses, our fears, our insecurities, or if we just give them some kindness and warmth for no good reason, that they won't accept it, that they'll shoot us down. So we close down. We don't show that soft side to ourselves that is the most attractive side. And when we don't show that, we don't get accepted anyway because people don't really connect to us. So we perpetuate our own loneliness by shutting down around other people. We cannot in life wait for other people to make the first move to be vulnerable. We have to start. And it can't be based on whether somebody's going to be vulnerable back, or if I do an act of kindness for someone, I want them to do it for me back. If I smile at someone, I want them to do it for me back. We can't base it on that. That's a transaction. Vulnerability can't be a transaction. It has to be a standard. A standard is something you do no matter what. And don't go around thinking that because somebody didn't reciprocate in the moment, they didn't enjoy your vulnerability. Vulnerability has a way of sticking with someone after you've left their presence. And if you want to test for that, remember a time now where somebody smiled at you or gave you warmth, gave you affection, and you were caught like a rabbit in the headlights. You didn't know how to react, and you know that you reacted more coldly than you would have if you could go back and change it. You know it stuck with you, even though they wouldn't have seen that it had a positive effect on you.
And the moment I feel most happy and connected is when I smile at someone and I get a really warm, genuine smile back.
I don't know, just people smiling. Life is always beautiful and I'm just happy to be part of it.
And one last thing. Emily commented on our last video saying, he makes me feel like my loneliness is a bad thing. Emily, I don't think loneliness is a bad thing. I think solitude can be a beautiful experience and one of the most important experiences in our own personal growth. After all, we can't be great in a relationship until we feel great about ourselves and until we know ourselves. You can't get to know yourself unless you spend time with yourself. So loneliness is not an evil, but loneliness can lead to suffering. And what I wanted to establish in this video is that loneliness isn't simply about whether we're around other people or not. Loneliness is an emotion. We can use that emotion for good, or it can lead to real pain and suffering. What I want to make sure is that the next time your loneliness is leading to suffering, you have tools that can allow you to manipulate it, because you have agency over this emotion regardless of your external circumstances right now. Thank you so much for watching. Leave us a comment today. Say hi. You may always watch these videos and never leave a comment, and you know I don't normally ask you to comment, but today let's show that we have a genuine community, and let's show our standard for kindness, and let's show our standard for vulnerability, and let's just create a good feeling here. This is something you don't see enough of online. There's too much nastiness and outrage and just bullshit. I want us to actually have a community that thrives on great energy here, not just positive energy, but just good energy where we're here to help each other. I will see you in next week's video. Thank you for watching. What was your question, Megan?
My question is basically, how do you go about adding or messaging a guy that you are interested in on like Facebook or other social media without seeming desperate or kind of awkward? And what exactly can you say?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, firstly, the key is, especially for a woman, no woman wants to come across as kind of desperate when she's messaging a guy. So she wants to look kind of laid back, but also a little intriguing and interesting. So I'll give you a couple of messages that you can play with and make your own. One of them is to say to a guy, are you really an X? So let's say, I don't know, he's a skydiving instructor. You say, are you really a skydiving instructor? Question mark, question mark. That's it. That's your message. Now you can change that. You can make it, did you really go to Vietnam? Right? That's, did you really go to this part of the world? Or did you really do that? Anything like that is going to work really well because firstly, it's focused on him. It's focused on what he's, something you've seen in his profile, something he can relate to because he's actually done it. It's all about him, but it's kind of, I say it may sound pedantic, but I would put 2 question marks because it's kind of, it's like you're asking him like, you really did that or you really do that for a living, whatever it may be. It's a nice way to start. So that's one. Another one that you can use is you write him and you say, I have no idea if we would get along, but I had to send you a message just because you also love X, whatever it is. So if you can find a band, a book, a video game, a hobby, anything that he likes or loves that you also are in love with, it kind of starts in a high value way. There's nothing needy about that. You're almost acknowledging that like, I don't even know if I'd like you or you'd like me. I have no idea if we'd get along, but I had to send you a message just because you also love Jurassic Park. Whatever you want to put in there, it doesn't matter. But the cool part about this is you're messaging him because of the thing that you mutually love, as opposed to you're messaging him just because he's really hot and you want to talk to him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, totally.
To give you one more, you can just say, that outfit in your profile pic, ... I like this because it's an intriguing opener. You don't want to say it like, if you can tell it's actually an outfit that he really likes, you may not, you may want to be careful because you don't want to sound like you're insulting him. But if he's wearing like a funny outfit or something that stands out, you just saying that outfit in your profile pic ... is a great way. It's like a cliffhanger opener. It's going to get him to message back because he wants to know what you mean by that. So that's another great one you can use. So I think those 3 those should get you started, shouldn't they?
Oh yeah, definitely. I really love those ideas. They will, I think, definitely help me out for sure.
Go try them. I'd love to know your feedback. Give us a call sometime or let us know what's happening so I can find out how they went down. Okay.
Okay, I definitely will do that. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Megan. Really appreciate you calling in.
Why are so many people unhappily single? I had one of my members say to me on a webinar recently, I decided 9 months ago to start looking again for love, for a partner, and 9 months in, I still haven't met anyone. I'm starting to get frustrated. I'm starting to lose hope and just, I start to wonder why I'm still doing this. And in her tone, I could tell that she was quite a goal-oriented type A person, and that because she wasn't getting the result, she was getting very frustrated. Of course, our love life isn't an area we can control in quite the same way that we can other things. We can have a huge degree of influence on the direction of our love life, but we can't control if the right person comes into our life this week or next week. We just have to keep putting ourselves in the right spot, doing the right things, and know that at some point that will be a byproduct. The challenge is how to enjoy the journey along the way whilst it's not happening. And we have to go from basing our happiness around getting the result, around meeting the person, to expanding our lives in pursuit, perhaps, or not even in pursuit of. That makes it sound like that's the only goal. We have to expand our lives knowing that meeting the right person may be a byproduct of expanding our lives. I know this isn't the greatest time in history to expand our lives when everything that's been going on in the last year has sort of contracted our lives, but that doesn't mean there aren't things we can do. We have to still look for the ways that we can be creative in expanding our lives. And I want to give you 3 potential ways of looking at this, 3 things you could do. One way to expand our lives is to look at the needs that we have to meet every week. You know, for me, I need to meet the need for learning new things. That's like a real basic need for me, is that I want to learn more. I'm curious and I always want to be learning. I have the need to train. You know, I like training, I like working out, I like staying in shape. So I have that need. I have the need for connection with other human beings. What's a way to meet those needs that is outside my comfort zone, or just something that I don't normally do? In January, you know, my friend Lewis Howes, he invited me to go do that ice retreat with Wim Hof for 5 days with a group of 10 guys. Absolutely not my cup of tea. Not something I would do for enjoyment, jumping into frozen lakes and doing 10-minute ice baths. That's not my idea of a good time, although I did have an amazing time and I'm so glad I went. I could have said to Lewis, you know what, I know this is going to be great for me and it's good physical exercise, but I just, you know, I've got jiu-jitsu that week and that's the thing I always do. That's my routine. I'm just going to stick to that. Sticking to that can be a major limitation, and doing that retreat with those guys has led to a completely new friendship group in my life as a result. And of course, a new set of skills, new knowledge, new neural pathways. It has so many benefits, but it's led to the new. Ask yourself, what way of meeting my old and consistent needs could lead me to the new? I'm still meeting my needs, but I'm meeting them in different ways than I've become accustomed to. Number 2, start saying yes to the invites of people that you don't normally say yes to, so that you're not just hanging around the same people all the time. When that person you don't see that often says, hey, this thing's going on if you wanted to come, instead of being like, oh no, I don't know, I'm kind of busy, actually say yes. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it can be a bit difficult to go and be a part of something where you don't know anybody, but that's where new friendship groups come from. Explore a new world through somebody else. And if no one is inviting you to do something new right now, then you go to someone you don't know that well and invite them to do something new. Be the leader in the process. Take the lead. And number 3, the 90-minute challenge. Let me explain this. Travel, I think, is one of the greatest ways to expand our lives. But so many people can't travel right now. Travel has become more difficult. The 90-minute challenge is find the adventure, find the way that you can be a tourist within a 90-minute driving radius of where you live. Have you ever had that experience of going and doing something close to where you live and going, I can't believe this exists within an hour or an hour and a half of my house. I never knew this was here. This is beautiful. This is stunning. This is amazing. Go do that thing. Now look, I'm not saying that when you go do that thing, you'll meet the right person there, right? You may go there and there's no one there. That's not the point. The point is to expand. The point is to enlarge your world. If in the next 3 years, you don't meet anyone as a result of doing this, there is nothing that I've talked about that you will regret. You will still look at those 3 years as 3 of the most amazing, beautiful, mind-expanding, world-expanding, friendship-expanding years of your life. But I also believe that if you take this approach to life, that it makes meeting someone as close to inevitable as possible. Do not allow your life to contract. Make a commitment to expansion so that you can be one of those people who can be happily single, but also hopeful of who might come. My name's Matthew Hussey and I give advice and stuff. 3 secrets to make him want more. Jameson, are you ready to change some lives?
The other week, we did a video where we talked about the importance of warmth. And what we said was warmth creates opportunity. When we're cold and distant and aloof, and we make people feel like they can't come over to us, we deprive ourselves of all the opportunities of people who would actually like to come over and approach us and start something. Warmth opens doors. It begins conversations. In a program I have called How to Talk to Men, there is a chapter 20, that talks about the things that create a conversation that he doesn't want to end. And if you think about it, what is a relationship? What is marriage? But a commitment to a conversation we don't want to end. Sort of why we get down on one knee, isn't it? We're saying to someone, hey, this conversation I'm having with you, I don't want it to end. I want it to keep going forever. It's quite beautiful. So if being warm and open invites and begins conversations, secret number 2 is what makes someone never want that conversation to end. And secret number 2 is connection. First, let's consider what a good conversation that creates connection actually looks like. It doesn't look like tennis. So this is American tennis.
This is it, we invented it.
Wow. So you seen any good movies lately?
Toy Story, you?
Yeah, I saw it. What do you think?
Good. What do you think?
It's pretty good. You up to anything this weekend?
We'll watch a movie.
Yeah, me too. You don't want it to be that, where essentially the entire conversation is about trying to get the ball out of your side of the court. Conversation is more like a game of soccer. Consider a friendly game of kick-ups between friends.
So it wasn't so much that I wanted to become an astronaut, I just wanted to explore, you know?
That's cool, man. I love exploring. That's what I love about travel, you know? Like, it's the food, the culture, the whole experience.
Oh, sick. You gone anywhere cool?
I actually lived in China once, and that was amazing, you know? It was like, when I was there, I kind of got homesick, but then when I got home, I missed it, you know?
Oh, sweet. I know that feeling. It's so weird feeling homesick for the first time and then feeling homesick for a distant place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That's how conversation should be done. It's not about getting rid of the ball as quickly as possible. It's about saying something when you have the ball and then giving the other person the generosity of the space for them to say something. The third thing, the third secret, you have to be real careful of. Because if you take this, and then you do the third thing as well, then you might just end up married, like Jameson. The third secret is tension. Jameson, how impressed are you with my chili pepper?
I'm very impressed with your chili pepper.
Pretty good chili pepper. That was my first attempt at that, and that's what I did. So, another dimension to me, isn't it? Tension is what takes this warmth that makes someone go, oh, I want to be close to you because you've got an energy that just is, like you're just a sweet, lovely person that I want to be around. And then the connection that says you're not just sweet and lovely, but I want to get to know you. I want to know more about you. I want to spend a long time getting to know you. I want to have conversations with you. Tension is the thing that takes that conversation that's already interesting, but sends a bolt of lightning through it. Makes it exciting. The program I was talking about, How to Talk to Men, where chapter 20 came from, about how to create a conversation that you never want to end, also has a chapter on creating tension, flirting, injecting all of that charged energy into your conversations. And I am giving you that chapter on flirting today at this link, getthefreechapter.com. When you go there, you will download that chapter for free, Jameson. And when you're in there, you'll be able to have all these practical things you can say to create tension. So between the video I did on warmth a couple of weeks ago, the connection video we did today, and this free chapter on tension, you might just rock your entire goddamn love life. Go to getthefreechapter.com. I'll see you over there. I am in Cyprus. You are all over the world. Got me thinking, we're sort of in a long distance relationship right now. And I get a lot of questions about long distance relationships. Can they work?
what are the secrets to having a great long distance relationship. So I thought I would do a video specifically dedicated to all of you wonderful people who are either in a long distance relationship or just on the edges, on the periphery of a long distance relationship, wondering whether or not to dive in. There are 3 big secrets that I want to talk about today for a long distance relationship. The first is surprises. So how might you do this? Well, if you're always communicating by WhatsApp or Skype, even sending an email is going to be more powerful. I feel like a lot of the time we don't email because we think we have to write an essay to someone. Even if you just wrote them a couple of lines by email, think of the feeling someone gets in their gut when they're not used to seeing your name appear in their inbox and then all of a sudden they get an email from you. It's a different feeling, so it creates that spark again. Writing letters is another good one. I know it's a little more difficult than an email, but hey, once in a while writing a letter is really sexy and will absolutely surprise your partner and make them feel amazing. It has your handwriting on the page. Think of that. It's your real touch that has met with the page that is now meeting with their touch when they hold the page. That's really romantic. Don't lose it. Presents, if you can send a gift to their house, that's also really exciting and sexy. Even just taking pictures during your day and sending them pictures so that they have pictures of you going through your day, so that you're not always ending up talking to them at the end of the night or first thing in the morning, but instead you're actually letting them interact with your day and showing them a kind of montage of your day is a really lovely thing to do. So the first tip is create the unexpected moments in your communication with them. The second one is develop your other senses. Now, I kind of use the analogy of a blind person. A blind person develops heightened senses in other areas because they don't have their sight. So now everything else becomes strengthened. The same can be true of you in your long distance relationship. You can't be standing next to someone. You can't touch them. You can't caress them. You can't have sex with them. You can't kiss them. You can't have all of those intimate moments. But what you can do is develop the other senses. For example, the level of communication and connection you have, how well you get to know each other, how good you get at reading each other. You might actually be able to develop the more important parts of your relationship with someone while you're away from them than someone who is next to their partner. There are plenty of people that are in a relationship where they watch movies, they have sex, they kiss, they watch movies, they have sex, they kiss, they eat together, they're standing next to each other, they hold hands. But how well do they really know each other? Many times, couples who spend all their time together get on the phone when they're apart and they have nothing to talk about. They realize they have no connection. Maybe one of your senses is down, but the other ones can get better in this moment. So take advantage of that and frame that in a positive way, because it can be a positive thing. Also, Skype sex doesn't hurt, so don't rule that out. It's important. Jameson, we should do a video at some point. How to have Skype sex. That's not you and me. No, no. Me and Jameson don't have Skype sex. I don't want anyone getting that impression. The third tip is this, and this might just be the most important of all of them. You have to have this team mindset, almost an us against the world mindset, that you and I can deal with any obstacle that comes our way. You and I are bigger than anything that could come our way. There isn't anything bigger than us. There's no problem or obstacle bigger than us. There's no person bigger than us as a couple. We can deal with whatever comes our way. You have to have that instinct in your mind. Now, of course, you want to make sure that your partner feels the same, right? It's worth having that conversation. Look, here's how I feel about you. I feel really strongly about you. I'm willing to go through the difficult moments to do this with you because I feel so intensely for you. I just want to know that you feel the same, that you're on the same page, because I wouldn't want to do all of that if you're not there with me. That's a very legitimate conversation to have, and it's an important one, because you don't want to be investing all of this in a long distance relationship if your partner isn't there with you. But if you've established that you and your partner are in the same place in that way, don't be afraid of what everyone else says. Everyone else might tell you, oh, you should be out, you should be having fun, you should be doing your own thing, you shouldn't be in this. But people don't know your relationship. If you're in it and it feels right and this person is important enough to put in the effort for, then you have to trust in your gut there and go for it, even if there are hard times ahead. But with one caveat, The two of you have to create some light at the end of the tunnel. The obvious light at the end of the tunnel is the day that you're actually going to come together and be together. The other light at the end of the tunnel might be a trip that you're going to take together, or a time when you are going to see each other, a time when it's going to be better than it is now. Hold on to that light at the end of the tunnel and celebrate it together and work as a team to get there. There might be days where you're weak and he's strong. There might be days where he's weak and you're strong. But that's why you're constantly helping each other up in different moments and acting as a team. You two against the world. Lastly, I'll say this. I have had my share of long distance relationships, and they're really hard. There's no sugarcoating that. Long distance relationships are hard. So if you're going to do one, if you're going to have a long distance relationship, make sure that you feel the person you're having it with is worth it. And you're doing it because you really do feel a genuine connection with this person, and not just because you're lonely where you're at in life and you have a scarcity mindset that says you couldn't get anyone where you are right now. And lastly, for the most part, I don't regret any of the long distance relationships I've had, even though for the time I was there, I was monogamous in a relationship with someone who was far away for a long time, and then it didn't pan out. I still learned so much from that relationship, and I'm still glad that I had that relationship. So don't beat yourself up if that relationship happens to end and you turn out to be wrong. Take the lessons you can take from it, learn what you can learn, and then as you go into your next relationship, you'll be stronger and wiser and more able to love the next person. I love you all. I will see you soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. So we have to stop asking whether someone likes us and start asking, do I see genuine progress? So I thought I'd do a video today where I just pointed out some of those quiet signals, those unconscious things that we may feel but not necessarily be able to put our finger on, that show that someone isn't serious, so that you can not waste any more of your time on that person. And by the way, I want to take a moment to ask if you would like this video, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that the next time I release a video that could help you or someone you love in your love life or with your confidence, you don't miss it. Okay, let's do this. The first subtle sign that somebody isn't serious is inconsistency in communication or inconsistency in energy. Let's start with communication. It may be that you'll have a 2-day period where they're really active and then 2 weeks where you barely hear from them. When someone is serious, there tends to be a sense of them they may be busy, they may have a lot going on, but there is the sense that they want you to know that they haven't fallen off the radar. There is the sense that they want you to know that they actually like you and that they're interested in seeing you again. When someone feels like they're very active in communication in 1 minute and then they fall off the radar the next, that usually is a sign that they're not serious about showing you that they want to be an ongoing person in your life and that they want progression, which is a very important word, progression. Now, that inconsistency of communication also extends to inconsistency in energy. When you notice that there are quite significant or even drastic changes in someone's energy, that's often a sign that they're not serious. It's usually a sign that this person enjoys having an experience with you, but doesn't actually want to create something with you. So I'll give you an example. A very common thing I come across coaching people is they'll talk to me about a date they went on where the person they were dating said very grandiose things. That person gushed a lot, told them how amazing they were, maybe told them that they haven't felt this way before, made them feel really, really special and warm in their glow. And then
They didn't hear from them again for a week or two after that. Or it was really hard to get that person on another date. It might be that a month later, after not seeing each other for a whole month, you get back together with that person for a date, and all of a sudden you hear all of those same things again, and you feel amazing again because you feel their light, you feel their attention. These are drastic changes in energy, and they're usually reflective of someone who is enjoying the experience of very intense emotions when it suits them, but is only looking for that feeling. They're not looking for a relationship or something they have to actually invest in. And by the way, this isn't me saying that when there's a burst of energy in the right direction and it feels intense, that's a bad thing. But those bursts of energy tend to then represent a new level in the relationship. And they don't go backwards. If you're constantly feeling like there's this kind of burst of forward momentum, this burst of passion and excitement and adulation, and then all of a sudden it goes backwards, that's a bad sign. The second sign someone's not serious is if they're unwilling to project into the future. You only exist in the now. Now, an example of this might be him talking about how great his brother is. And you say, your brother sounds amazing. I can't wait to meet him at some point. Or I'd love to meet him at some point. And he says, yeah, he's great. Then you know that there's a dismissal of that possibility because he doesn't see you doing that. You only exist in the now. If you were talking about a place that you wanted to visit, like Morocco, and he was saying, I really want to go there too. And you say, oh my God, we should do it together. That would be so much fun. And he says, yeah, so yeah, there's a bunch of places I want to visit. Then you know again, there's a moment where he's made you feel uncomfortable about suggesting something in the future. By the way, you'll know this if someone has almost trained you to not talk about the future, because you know that every time you do, he goes quiet or makes you feel uncomfortable. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that in week 2 of dating someone, you should say, I can't wait to meet your mum. That's going to freak someone out. But if you've been dating someone for some time, a series of months, and you still feel like you couldn't say something like that, then there's an elephant in the room that's not being acknowledged. The third sign someone isn't serious is if you get the sense that you're standing still. And you may have had this sense for a little while, maybe for months, that there's no real progression. I speak to people regularly who say, I see them once a week. It's really nice. We have a great connection, but I just don't really know what we are and I don't know where it's going. And when I hear that, I almost get the sense that it's almost a bit too structured. You know, that I see them once a week. Well, why do you only see them once a week? Why don't you see them twice a week? Why isn't it you see them 4 times one week and 2 times the next and 3 times the next? And why is there this kind of pattern in this relationship where it never seems to move forward? It doesn't ever become more intense. There's not more of an integration in your lives. That to me starts to become a giveaway that what's happened is there's this stagnated, solidified dynamic that never really shifts. So think of it like groundhog dating, right? There's this just over and over and over again, this is our pattern. When you really like someone and when they've started to become a bigger part of your life and you think there's a movie you really want to see, what do you do? You go, you want to see The Little Mermaid. You go, I want to see it with that person. I don't want to see it with anyone else. I want to see it with them. We just talked about it last week and how much they love that film. I want to go see it together. You think like that. When you've got an event to go to, you think, I want them to come with me. There's not this sense that they're one thing you do in your week. If you're honest with yourself, do you feel like you've been standing still for a while? And if you're really honest with yourself, is that standing still a big part of the reason why you don't feel comfortable asking where it's going? Because you haven't felt any progression in some time. Look, when any of us are questioning where something is going, whether we should keep giving our time and energy to it, how much hope we should hold on to for what this thing is going to be, one of the questions that we end up centering our attention around is, do they like me? And we look for evidence that they do like us. And when people speak to me, they say, but Matthew, they're clearly doing things that show that they like me. And that's what's creating the confusion, is they like me, but nothing more is happening. Do they like me is the wrong question to ask altogether. Because someone can like you and want to spend a weekend with you. Someone can like you and still want to have sex with other people. Someone can like you and have no intention to have a real committed relationship. Someone can like you and not be capable of having a committed, strong relationship. Someone liking us may be a prerequisite for a relationship, but it is not an indicator of a forthcoming relationship. So we have to stop asking whether someone likes us and start asking, do I see genuine progress? And if we can't see progress, then we have to start valuing our time more than continuing to give it to someone who only likes us. Now, I don't want this video to suggest that if someone is showing some of these signs, that they're a complete write-off. Because we live in a world today where we tend to oversimplify things in that way. If they do this, then you should be out the door. And the reality is life is always more nuanced than that. But it doesn't mean that we have to sit around and wait for an answer. We can be proactive. And the way that we get proactive is in doing all of the things that I coach people in that create a dynamic that we actually want and create a culture that we want, and then we see if someone can live up to that dynamic and that culture. And if they can't, then we move on. But the problem is a lot of people, in their fear, in their tiptoeing around someone, in their scarcity mindset, they don't actually proactively create the culture that someone else has to buy into. We all, I want you to understand this, I'll make this point in a bigger way in a different video, but we all have the power to create our own culture. And that culture is what other people around us start to change to adapt to, or they don't survive the culture. But we need to know how to create that culture. What do I say in early dating? What do I do with the amount of energy that I invest? What's an inappropriate amount of energy to invest before I get more commitment? We don't know the answers to how these things look specifically unless we learn them. And I want to invite you to learn them because all of your power is in the practical. I have a dating training program called Dating with Results that shows you exactly how you can get something that actually goes somewhere instead of wasting time in something that isn't. And it's not just a training that shows you signs. It's a training that shows you practically how to actually influence the result. And the best part is it's free. So go to datingwithresults.com and you can sign up right now. It's going to change your dating life. I promise you that. I'll see you there. Thank you for watching this video as always, and I'll see you next week.
Hey guys, it's Matthew Hussey here. I put together a video for you of Q&A material from my Get the Guy tour. As many of you know, I'm doing a tour right now across the States. We're doing 10 cities. I wanted to get you something that you could watch whether or not you can come to the tour. I know many of you have booked tickets, but I know some of you haven't been able to do it this time around. I have a little Q&A session that's going to provide you some value and some stuff that you can use, even if you're just sitting at home and you can't come and see me live. And if you haven't made that decision yet, hopefully watching this will help you make that decision as well, because you're going to see that it's dynamic and it's fun, and we're giving away so much great value here. So thank you guys. This is just me trying to over-deliver for you and give you something extra. And I know that if you are coming to the tour, you're not going to regret it. It really is a special thing, and I'm really excited. So thank you guys. I will see you real soon. I hope you enjoy the video. Love to hear your questions. I would love to hear what you want to know. Yes?
I've been dating a guy for 5 months. Well, I get invested again, and then he disappears for a month.
Right.
And then he's back.
So you've got a guy who's blowing hot and cold, hot and cold. He invests, and then as soon as you invest back, he goes cold again.
Yeah.
Here's my philosophy, because I know so many women who, they get a guy for an hour a week, or they get a guy for one night a week, and then they're like, oh, I just want to see him more. To which my response is, if he's giving you one night a week, is he the guy you want? Is this you may really love him for that night. But here would be my response to the guy. You really think that I'm going to settle for happiness one night a week? Screw you. I need it 7 nights a week. I need to be happy 7 days a week. You really think that I'm going to settle for something that's good 1 hour a week? You must be out of your frickin' mind. Oh, I know who you're thinking of. You're thinking of the woman there. Oh, that's okay. I'm the woman here. This is who I am. I'm sorry that you got us confused. Yeah. So you come across hard and unapproachable? Are you those things?
No, not at all.
For sure? Out of interest, why does that act of femininity make you cringe?
Because I look at it as I can do it myself.
Right, you said, so your thought was, I can do it myself.
Right.
What's the problem with that? There are many things that I have to say, well, of course I could do them myself. That goes without saying. You're a strong woman. Of course you could do it yourself. That's not the point. What type of man do you want to be with? On the scale of masculine to feminine?
A masculine.
A masculine guy. Okay. What types of guys do you attract right now?
Feminine.
Pussies, right? Because a masculine guy needs to feel masculine. No guy, no strong guy is going to want to be around a woman who never lets him take care of her. Your argument is, I can do it myself. What if I said to you that that's weak? What if I said to you that having to do everything yourself is a form of weakness? Because all it is trying to validate yourself by showing how strong you are. And a strong woman doesn't need to exert that. She doesn't need to spend that much energy showing how strong she is. In fact, a really strong woman can go one step more advanced. Because by the way, the weakest woman, the weakest says, I need everything done for me. I don't know how. I can't do that. Help me. A level above her is the woman that says, I can do it myself. I don't need someone for that. I can do it myself. A level above that is, I know I can do it myself, but it's a lot of fun when someone else does it. It is strong to be served. It makes me strong to be served, but it does not make me strong to hold guys at arm's length saying I don't need them, because guess what? You do. Men need women, women need men. Life just ain't as fun without them. So once we accept that we need each other, you don't need them for your happiness, I know that. But if you really want to get the most out of life and enjoy life on a different level, then yeah, bring some of those guys into your life. Because it won't be nearly as fun without them. And they won't have nearly as much fun with you if they can't enjoy being a guy around you. Let's take another question. Yes?
Vulnerable and was hurt.
So you've been hurt in the past. You don't want to be hurt again. So anytime someone does something that could show you're about to be hurt, your alarm bell goes off and you shut down. So then when you shut down, he doesn't feel connected to you. And essentially you sever the connection, don't you? But it's safer to sever the connection in that moment than to engage in it and risk getting hurt. You have to start by deciding what type of woman you want to be in this world. Not to put too big a question on it, but what type of woman do you want to be? You're going to find a new guy and you're going to completely open up, and he's going to be someone who's sent to test your strength as a woman. And he's going to completely annihilate your trust. He's going to hurt you. And you're going to be left with all this validation for what you thought you should have done, which is closed down. I should have put up a wall, I knew it. But here's your choice. Is my trust destroyed? Or does this just make me stronger and more determined to find the type of guy I want? Is this a moment where I'm supposed to back down and put up a wall? Or is this where I really show how strong I can be in a relationship? Because it's easy, by the way, to be strong in a relationship when you've never been burnt. It's easy to be confident when no one's ever torn you down. It's harder, it's more of a challenge when you've had reasons to be insecure and you're not. And people do it every day. Now, I'm here to tell you that you've been tested. There are people that have hurt you. You've gone through some difficult things. But you still have a choice as to which way you want to go. See, between two events, you have a choice to react in whatever way you want to react. How am I going to react to this situation? That's the big question. Which path is it going to send me down? Am I going to grow or am I going to shrivel? Now, you've been shriveling a little bit, like putting up a wall, but I know that's not who you really want to be. And I know it's not the example you want to set. So it seems to me you have a relatively easy choice.
Should you only be dating one person at a time?
Should you only be dating one person at a time? In life, you always just have to look at the practicalities of any situation. Rather than get emotionally invested in, well, what would I like it to be like? How is it really? What's it really like? And if I'm a guy and I'm on a date with you and I think you're sleeping with a bunch of other guys, is that going to grow my attraction? Probably not. But they wouldn't know that. They wouldn't know. Right. So let's get to what's practical. Right? You can absolutely date different guys, and it's up to you at what level you do that. Is it just a date? Am I sleeping with them? And so on. Now, what I would do is start from a place of what do I expect from someone else? In other words, would I want to start dating someone who was sleeping with a bunch of other people at the same time they were dating me?
If I found the perfect person, of course I would dump all the others.
Yeah, absolutely. If you found the perfect person, you would dump all the others. And therein you answer your question. Because what you're really doing is saying, I'm exercising my options. When I find someone I like, I'm going to start focusing on that person. Now, my options might still give me confidence because they remind me that I'm an attractive woman, but I'm not going to exercise those options while I'm actually focusing on this person I care about. And if that falls through, okay, I have options again, but I'm not necessarily going to... You have to make the decision. While I'm with this person and I'm investing in them, do I entertain all the other options? Now, I would say to you it's dangerous because the moment he finds out you're a few dates in and you're exercising your other options is the moment that a typical guy, not every guy, but a typical guy becomes less attracted. Because as I said, he wants to feel he's on a unique path with you, not one that includes other people at the same time. I would say enjoy your options, have your fun, and when you meet someone you like, be prepared to focus on that person. That's what I would say. You know, there's nothing wrong with you exercising your options and enjoying being single. But when you meet someone you want, I wouldn't suddenly throw all those people out of your life, but I would stop the intimate part of that so that you can actually move forward with a good heart with that person that you like.
Wanting to maybe see if there's a chance.
So if I'm out with someone, we're in a group, how do I figure out if they have a partner or not? Right. Especially if I'm hitting it off with them. Because what you don't want to end up is, I've just had a 3-hour exchange, that's my Friday night gone, and you have a girlfriend. Yeah, and many guys will enjoy the validation from that, so they'll tell you at the very last minute, even if they have, you know, even if they're always intending to tell you, they'll tell you at the last minute because they're really enjoying the exchange. Which women do too, by the way, let's not like strike off guys for that. So, I think personally, there's nothing wrong in a conversation when you've been there a little while, asking someone if they've got a girlfriend. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It doesn't look desperate, it doesn't look needy, it just looks like you're direct. It doesn't also have to be a situation where you're saying it because you're interested. It could just be you're asking. You know, like if they're in town for a few days, you talk to them about it. Like, you going back home, do you have a girlfriend there? Talk to them casually. And it doesn't matter, like at the end of the day, I'd rather put someone on the spot and find out than be vague about it and give them room to not say it. And then, you know, go out for coffee with them and you're like, well, do you have a girlfriend? And they go, oh, yeah. And you go, well, why are you out for coffee? And he's like, oh, I thought it was just coffee. I would rather be direct about it and ask the question, but do it with a smile on your face and just do it as part of a casual conversation. Yeah. Well, one guy you met was a stalker, and one guy was married. Why? Just forgive me, but why would that affect your confidence? Just because he's a stalker, it doesn't mean he has bad taste. Listen, I would say this. You're going to attract some of the wrong guys. If you're attractive, you're going to attract some bad guys. You're going to attract some of the wrong guys. There's attractive people can't filter out just the good people. You can't be attractive and only have great people be attracted to you. If you're attractive, people are attracted to you. So you're going to get a few crazies in there. You're going to get a few guys who are sleazebags and they're married and they're going to do that. You're going to get that. But why that would affect your confidence? Because you're new to it. Right. But right now, you're meeting guys. Big tick. Well done. Guys are attracted to you. Big tick. Well done. Now it's just refining. Now all you're doing is sifting out the wrong guys from the right guys. But you're already steps ahead of most women out there who are doing nothing. Most women aren't doing anything. They're not doing anything. They're not your competition. Like, this is the great thing. People are like, oh, the ratios between men and women. There are so many single women. It doesn't matter. 90% of them aren't doing shit. They're sitting at home eating ice cream. They're not doing anything. They're not your competition. It doesn't matter. If you're a proactive woman, you're already in the 10%. And if you're proactive and you know what you're doing, and you've been to an event like this and you've been through it and you're figuring it out, now you're not even in the 10%. You're in that top 1%. And those women stand out from every other woman, no matter how many there are. Go out tonight and here's what you'll see. A whole lot of women and men not talking to each other. If I could only tell men, guess what, guys? Don't worry about the rich guy over there. Don't worry about the guy over there who looks like Brad Pitt. He ain't your competition because he's too busy sitting at the bar trying to look cool. These women over here, they want a guy to talk to them. No one's going over there. These guys that you're afraid of, that you're intimidated by, that you don't think you have as much as, they're not your competition. They're not doing shit. Go do it, and you're already way ahead of the curve. Right? Just talking enough will eventually get you laid. And I say to you women that most women aren't doing anything, so they're not your competition. Get out there, be proactive, do this stuff, and do it with a good heart, and you're already in the top percentile of people who are going to get results. Thank you so much. Thank you.
In this video, I'm going to show you 3 ways to compliment a guy to make him fall for you. And watch all the way to the end, because I have something very special waiting for you that you do not want to miss. The first way to compliment a guy is on his style. Now, many people when they're walking up to someone think about how to compliment their looks. You have a great smile, you have beautiful eyes, all of those kinds of things. Not only is this a very direct way to go and approach someone, one that most of us are scared to do, but it also is complimenting someone on something they didn't choose. None of us chose our looks, but we did choose our style. So when you go up to a guy and you say, I love those jeans, or those shoes are so cool, not only is it safer and less direct, it's actually more meaningful. The second way to compliment a guy is to talk about his hidden traits. Let's say a guy is good at the guitar. He's probably been complimented on that an awful lot. So when he goes and plays, everyone comes up to him and says, oh my God, you're so good, you're amazing at that. It loses its meaning after a while. So now when you compliment the guy on that thing, you're just like everybody else. But if you can compliment the trait that made him good at the guitar in the first place, he will be much more sentimental about that. So if it's just the discipline to keep playing every single day, even when it was hard to get to that point, that's something he's more likely to have meaning for than just being good at the guitar. The third way to compliment a guy that makes him fall for you, and I cannot overstate the importance of this, play to his masculinity. Show him how much of a man you really think he is. If a guy feels like a guy around you, he'll want to be around you more. Now, there is one amazing line that you can use to do this. And if you like this line, you're going to love what I give you in a few seconds. You say to a man, I feel so safe whenever I'm around you.
Just saying that to a guy makes him feel like Superman. But more specifically, it makes him feel like Superman with you. Not everyone makes him feel that way. So if he feels that powerful with you, he's going to be drawn to you. So if you like these, I have a special surprise for you. I have 5 more compliments that get any man to chase you. I don't care if you've known him for 5 minutes or 5 years. To get these compliments, go to saythisttohim.com. There I literally have a free guide that has 5 compliments that will have any man drawn to you like a magnet. Literally take any one of them, say them to a guy that you like, that you're attracted to, that you want more from, and watch the results in real time. So go to saythisttohim.com, try them out today. I cannot wait to hear your results. I'll see you soon.
Growing up, I was always intimidated by people that I perceived to be beautiful. I would think I didn't match up, I would put them on a pedestal, and around them, any sense of charisma or wit would simply fade. And I would just become this blob of grey matter trying to blend into the wall. There was a moment recently where Coco Gauff, the youngest player to have ever qualified for Wimbledon, who's 15 years old, in her opening match, she played her hero, Venus Williams, beat Venus Williams, and then in the post-match interview was asked, how did you keep your composure? And she said, you know, it was the biggest court I'd ever played on, but I had to keep reminding myself that the lines on the court were the same size. Translation, it's still tennis. I am still there to play the game I play every single day in practice. Simply because it's a bigger audience watching or it's more of a legend that I'm playing doesn't change that my job is to show up and play my game. The same is true of people. I don't care who someone is, or what you think they have, or how handsome you think that guy is, or what he's achieved, or how intelligent you perceive him to be. That is still just a person. And your job is to show up and play your normal game. The game you have been learning your entire life, which is just to do the most authentic version of you. So here are 3 things I want you to remember if you feel yourself getting intimidated by somebody else that you're attracted to. Number 1, don't play the one-on-one comparison game. Looking at them going, oh no, their eyes are better than mine. They've got more symmetry in their face than I have. When we compare one part of us to another, we're completely misunderstanding how attraction actually works. We don't fall in love with a feature, we fall in love with a package, what someone represents as a whole. That brings me on to number 2. What package do you represent as a whole? You've got to represent more than a feature. I've heard it said about companies that a brand is a promise. In other words, a brand is more than a product. A brand is a promise of what integrity that company has, what character that company has, what its ethos is, what it stands for, what the level of service is. That's the promise. And when we go into dating, our brand is a promise. And it's a promise to be something far more interesting than one feature. It's a package, a style, a brand that cannot simply be replicated by somebody else, no matter how physically beautiful they are. And number 3, recognize that anyone who does not see your value cannot be valuable to you. Now, I don't mean they don't have value in their own right as a person. I simply mean when we're looking for love, when we're looking for real connection, a real relationship, and you imagine your dream love, it's 2 people who uniquely see each other's value, appreciate what is special about the other, and fall in love with that. You cannot have a valuable relationship where one person sees the value in this person and this person's like, well, I'm not really sure. That's not what we're looking for. So if you walk up to someone today that you think is attractive and you bring yourself to the table and they don't recognize the value in you, then you have lost nothing. That person has no value for you in the dating pool. And that alone should rid you of any level of intimidation you previously thought they had. So if you want to stop being intimidated by people and actually start going out there and making a move, being courageous, doing the brave thing of speaking to someone, you might want some practical ways of how to actually do that. I have a free chapter from my program, How to Talk to Men, which is all about how to flirt, and it's going to give you the practical. This video has been about the confidence. That free chapter is about having the competence to actually do it. So go to getthefreechapter.com, download your free chapter right now, and I will see you there.